Spider-Man 2 is a 2004 American superhero film directed by Sam Raimi and written by Alvin Sargent, from a story by Alfred Gull, Miles Miller, and Michael Cabon. What's good is avoided reviews, and today we're going to review the sequel to the 2002 film Spider-Man. It is the second installment in the Spider-Man trilogy based on the Marvel comic character of the same name. Tobey Maguire stars as Peter Parker Spider-Man alongside Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Alfred Murillo, Rosario Harris, and Dove Murphy. And what is this film all about? Well, set 2 years after the events of the first Spider-Man, Peter Parker struggles to manage both his personal life and duties as Spider-Man, which affects his civilian's life dramatically. Meanwhile, Dr. Octavius becomes a diabolical villain after a failed experiment kills the one he loves and leaves him neurologically fused to mechanical tentacles. Spider-Man must stop him from successfully recreating the experiment, which threatens to destroy the city, while also dealing with a subconscious desire to stop being Spider-Man that is stripping him from his powers. Principal photography began in April 2003 in New York City and also took place on LA. Spider-Man 2 was released in both conventional and IMAX theaters on June 30th, 2004 and grossed $783 million worldwide, becoming the third highest grossing film of the year. It won the Academy Award for Best VFX and was also nominated for Best Music Sound Mixing and Best Sound Editing. It also received 5 awards at the Saturn Awards, including Best Fantasy Film and Best Director for Raimi. It is considered as one of the most influential and best superhero films of all time. And why is that? Well, let's talk about the good. And the good of this film is definitely the whole kind of like Peter Parker's like self-doubt about being Spider-Man. You see, Peter Parker literally wants to be there more with Mary Jane because Mary Jane is falling in love with another man, and this is like kind of like pushing his desire to be Spider-Man further and further, and because of that, the powers that make him who he is starting to fade away. I love the whole plot and the storyline involving this. It comes to a point in the story where Spider-Man actually loses his powers altogether, and he has to slowly become Peter Parker once again and just live his ordinary life, because in the film Peter Parker is like literally unable to like make Mary Jane's shows and all that. He's too busy being Spider-Man, and Mary Jane feels like he doesn't really care for her, because she confessed his love to Peter Parker in the first film, and because he has to be Spider-Man, he doesn't want his villains to hurt her, so he has to stay away from her, but he just can't help but be with her. And it's just really cool. I love the whole story as well. I still love Tobey Maguire's performance as Peter Parker. In my opinion, I just love this guy. He's now officially a physics student and at Columbia University, and also a photographer for the Daily Bugle. And judging these separate lives means he briefly gives up his responsibilities as a superhero in a moment of adversity. And I don't know, I just like the way he does portray Peter Parker in a way, he plays this really really socially awkward, quiet dude who's just doesn't really have much confidence in himself, but when it comes to Mary Jane and his powers as being Spider-Man, he feels he has a responsibility to do the things he needs to do in order to become the man he has to be. And I absolutely love that. There's a scene with him and Uncle Ben. It's not really a flashback or anything, it's more of kind of like a how can I say, a scene kind of conjured up by Peter's mind. It's kind of like a dream sequence in a way, where it's kind of like an alternative scene of what would have happened if Peter listened to Uncle Ben in the car. And you see Peter listening to Uncle Ben and him talking to Uncle Ben, saying that Uncle Ben needs Peter to become the man with great power comes with great responsibility in a way. And Peter refuses him. He doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. he wants to be there for Mary Jane, and he feels like in order to be with her, he has to give up the things he loves and give up being the hero he needs to be. And it's quite of a touching scene. I have to admit, it's really emotional, it's really touching. And there's a lot of those scenes in this film. There's a lot of those really emotional, heart pulling strings, James Franco as Harry Osborn is also got a really good role as well, because he's obviously found out after the first film that Spider-Man killed his father, and he has this burning desire to hunt down Spider-Man, and Peter Parker's the only person who knows who he is, and he's starting to feel this resentment towards Peter in a way, because he is refusing to tell us who Spider-Man is, and he's starting to get this anger towards him, and it kind of shows in that kind of dinner ceremony where the John Astronaut guy basically proposes to Mary Jane, and it's quite an intense scene because he starts slapping Peter, saying that is he his brother or not, and Peter still refuses to tell Harry who Spider-Man is. It's really deep, and the deep scenes just keep going and going, Obviously, I'm definitely diving into a bit of spoiler territory, but I mean, yeah, you gotta have seen the film for me to really truly get into the scope of things. So if you haven't seen this film, go and watch it right now. I do love it, but we need to dive into more spoilers. And obviously, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker confronts Aunt May and tells him the truth about what happened to Uncle Ben, and it is one of the best directed scenes, best acted scenes I've ever seen Rosemary Harris play in these films. Peter Parker is just sitting there. He's talking and explaining to Aunt May about what's happened. Aunt May is listening. She's listening. He grabs his hand afterwards. She pulls her hand away, and her face is expressionless. You don't know what she's thinking, and she slowly stands up, looks at Peter, turns away, and walks up to her bedroom and closes the door. And that's it. It cuts to the next scene, and it is just so heartbreaking, because she knows that this has really affected Aunt May, but obviously she knows it's not Peter Parker's fault, and later she reveals it wasn't his fault, and she was glad that he told him in a way. But I just really thought it was such a great, a great portrayal in a way. I really did like that, I flipping love it. I still love J.K. Simmons as Jonah Jameson, that's manager and editor-in-chief at the Daily Bugle, and he does some more of appearance because his son is getting engaged to Mary Jane, and I absolutely love, the whole, the way he's written in a way, and I love it. I absolutely love it, And if you have seen the Spider-Man 2.1 extended edition version, there's an extended version of it, and it shows alternative scenes and extended scenes of the film, and we obviously see when Spider-Man quits being Spider-Man in a way, we see Jonah Jameson literally dressed up as Spider-Man, because he throws his costume in the bin and one of the reporters gives it to Jonah Jameson, and in the extended version he's actually wearing the Spider-Man costume and pretending to be Spider-Man, and I thought it was kind of funny, to be honest with you, because even though he has this kind of hatred for Spider-Man, I think he deep down has this kind of respect for him in a way, this burning desire and respect, and I quite liked it. I actually thought it was pretty adorable in a way. I thought it was really cool. I think there's a lot of those scenes in the extended edition, the Spider-Man 2.1. There's a lot of those scenes like that, but I feel like I understand why they had to edit it out in a way, because I mean, had they kept it in, it definitely would have I don't think it would have paced it better, because there's a lot of those scenes in the film, those extended edition, and I'm glad that they edited it out and had it as an alternative way to watch it. I watched it, and I have to admit, I don't know if it was necessary to watch it, because it kind of dragged on in a way. It kind of felt meandering, I think the theatrical version is better, and I understand why they edited like that, because there are certain scenes and moments where it just kind of goes on for ages, and I didn't like it. I thought it worked better. It worked better when it was, side by side with, you know, the theatrical version. So if you're to watch this film, watch it in the theatrical version anyway. Um, what other praises can I give this film? Oh, there's so much to praise this film, and I do like the visual effects a little bit more, particularly the him swinging in New York. I think it's done a little bit better. I think it looks a little better, to be honest with you. Some of the action is done a little bit better. When Dr. Octopus is in this hospital room and the doctors are trying to fix him up and he starts to attack them, it starts to turn really sinister. We don't see any blood or anyone getting badly injured, but I mean, it's kind of intended to show that they are getting hurt and badly injured in a way, and I thought it was pretty spooky. Sam Raimi was really inspired by a lot of horror. I thought it was pretty cool, to be honest with you. Also, the score by Danny Elfman is also a really, really, really great score, I love the scores and love the songs, and then there's also a really cool sequence with the song Raindrops Keep Falling By On My Head, where Spider-Man just literally officially quit being Spider-Man, and we just see him just kind of do his everyday life, just him being Peter Parker and all that. I thought it was I just really like that scene, because it's just seeing how he's trying to be free, but even though he's finally stripped off his powers and he can be his normal self, that's the problem. He's his normal self and he's still clumsy, he's still the loser kid, and nothing has changed despite him being Spider-Man, he's still Peter Parker, and I really like that. I really like how they kept it consistent, making Peter Parker still the loser kid, still the one that nothing always goes right for him, whether it's trying to fix a bike and the wheel falls off and it ends up smashing someone's window, or him tripping on the street, even though he's Peter Parker again and he's this A-star student again, he's still a clumsy loser in a way, and I really did like that consistency of the film that they did. It was really well done, and it's little touches like that that make this film so much more special, to be honest with you. The guy who plays Dr. Octavius is flipping amazing, because he isn't a bad guy, He isn't a bad guy. It's just experiment gone terribly wrong. He wants to create this super energy reactor to create cheaper electricity for everyone, but it goes terribly wrong, and spoiler alert, it kills his wife, and the tentacles start to take control of him, and he becomes a little bit evil, and he wants to finish what he started, and Spider-Man is kind of has to stop him in a way, but he's not happy by that. And as he's battling Octavius, there's this super awesome train sequence, and for a train sequence in 2004, that was flipping amazing, where Peter has to save these people on the train, and then his mask kind of falls off and people kind of discover that this Spider-Man is just a kid, that I think everyone has had this over superized version of what Spider-Man was meant to be. Everyone thought that he was just super tall, super strong man, but they look at him and he's just a kid. There's one guy on the train who says he's just a kid, no older than my son, and people start realizing that wow, he's just one of them, and it kind of gives them that morale to kind of stand up to Dr. Octavius and protect Peter, saying that if you want to go through him, you go through me, and then another person goes, and through me. And it's really touching, seeing these people of New York stick up for Spider-Man and have his back in a way, they have his back and they want to protect this dude because he's protected them and they want to protect him, and I really did like that. I thought that's such a nice thing, but as good as this film is, and as good as it has its nice moments, there are some mixed aspects of the film, and they aren't negative, they are mixed. And it is the portrayal of the adults' background characters. And when I mean the background characters, I mean those secondary characters who are just in the background and have those one lines, The kids in the film, the background characters, are fine, but when it comes to the adults, they always act really weird, I don't know, the way they acting, in the train sequence when they're saying, you gotta go through me, like, I don't know, the way they're acting is kind of over the top, being sad, or like there's this girl saying, "Go, Spidey, go," and her eyes are like so wide, and she looks very satanic in a way, and it's just creepy. It's like some people are like, I have to admit, the adults in these movies are so weird, you know, the background adults. I don't know why they're like that, and I don't know why they have to be so weird, to be honest with you. It puts me off in the movie, to be honest with you, at times. And in terms of negatives of this film, I don't really have any, to be honest with you. There's nothing I undoubtedly hate about this film, you know. Yeah, I do like this film, you know. It's a bit cheesy, and that can come off of being mixed, but I like that cheese, you know. I think the cheesiness of the Spider-Man movies after the Raimi trilogy is what makes me always come back to these films and appreciate it, because the cheese actually just makes it so much more enjoyable to watch, you know. And I never get bored watching these films. This film is like way over 2 hours long, and I watched the extended edition, which was seriously way over 2 hours long, and it flew by, because that's how much enjoyment I found out of this film, you know. It's so much fun, it's enjoyable, it's a blast to watch, and it's definitely one of the best, if not the best, Spider-Man movies, and you've got to see it, dude. Watch it on Blu-ray, and I appreciated Sam Raimi going to the widescreen 21:9 ratio instead of the 16:9 ratio in his first film. It kind of made the whole scope and feel of Spider-Man that much bigger, and little touches like that really do give this film so much more oomph to it. And for that, this film deserves a 10 out of 10 and an A star from me. Go check this film out right now. I've definitely spoiled a little bit of the film, but you can still watch it anyway. It is what it is. It's just what I do. Well, thanks for watching this review. Please like and share this video and comment down below and tell me what's your favourite Spider-Man flick. This might be one of my faves. With that said, thanks for watching, and as always, Aborted Reviews signing out.